Recorded live from the World Police Vault, this is the Wormhole. Citizens of Devoted, welcome to the Wormhole. Worm Wizard here, and we are going to have a good show for this week. We have a very special guest. He's the leader of the World Police. Give it up for Dollaz.
Hi, I'm Dollaz. I guess you could say I'm the leader of the World Police. Let's hear some questions.
All right. Well, it's great to have you on the show, Dollaz. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day of spreading justice on Devoted to be here.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So let's get started. So, when did you first start playing Minecraft, and what did you play before Civ servers?
I think I first started playing in around late alpha, and I think I mostly played on this one survival server before Civcraft, and I can't remember the name of it.
What was your first Civ server? What roles did you do in others before Devoted?
The first Civ server I played on was Civcraft 2.0, and I mostly stayed in the first town I came across, Volcania. I had a lot of fun there, made some friends, built some pretty things, but I mostly spent half my time in Mumble, just speaking to people, really. The biggest conflict I ever got involved in on Civcraft would have been like in the Nox War, which I played a very minor role in. I only went to the protests at Carson. That was most of my time on Civcraft.
Yeah, that's pretty much when I first started playing Civcraft, was in the middle of that Nox War. So, what eventually brought you over to Devoted?
The death of Civcraft 3.0. During 3.0, I joined up with Volterra. So after Civ died, a few of us moved over to Devoted, and I came along with them. And we started a small town named Adirafil, and that's where we lived for most of our time on Devoted.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about World Police itself. So what do you think is World Police's role in this server?
Well, it first came about as a coalition of players to combat the raider threat, but that purpose has since passed, and now it's just a group of players that work together to combat some smaller threats, such as raiders, and we're mostly prepared to combat any major threats in the future. But personally, what I'd say is one thing I don't think is our role as World Police is to interfere in conflicts between different nations. Because there's no way that conflicts can naturally happen on the server if there's just this one big group that will interfere no matter what and basically decide who wins. And I guess you could, a recent example of that is the drama in Canada that's going on about them supposedly raiding an inactive town. Some people messaged me about that, about getting involved. And I had a firm stance of neutrality on that. So yeah, I think generally the World Police's only role should be fighting raiders.
That's very different from World Police in the past. Like, in the past, it's been very memey, like, you know, a bunch of shit posts about it, especially, like, in Civcraft. What is the one major difference, would you say, is between this World Police compared to past World Polices?
I'd say we don't stand for any raiding. Anyone that does raid in the group would be removed from it. Any issues that we have, I personally try to resolve. Like there was an issue during the war where a windmill was griefed in Canada, and I had to personally go over there and help rebuild it. Had to sort out some other conflicts between people, and it's just generally stuff like that. Holding the group accountable, I'd say, is there's a better standard of accountability for this group.
What is your favorite part about the World Police itself?
Definitely the Discord, I'd say. It's nice to get a lot of the community together and get involved in something, and the voice chat's used almost every day. And it feels like there's a lot of people in there that speak to each other that otherwise wouldn't be speaking to each other. And it kind of reminds me of the times in Civcraft, when the Mumble would be used frequently. Get a lot of different people talking to each other. It's really nice.
Can you name a couple people that come to mind when you think of World Police, like from very different backgrounds, like different nations?
Yeah, sure. Actually, like, there's people that were on the other side of the previous war that I was actually fighting against, like Connie and Saren, that I didn't really expect to be on the same side as me in this. So there's people like in the Delta Alliance, like Dooku and John 3112, who, you know, they're coming from completely different communities, and there was Connie and Saren and, you know, the Ugu people and the Irafil people and the Vogelberg people all coming together to combat that same threat, and they've stuck around now, and that's a good example of different groups of people coming together, I think.
What do you see in the future of World Police?
For now, just being basically a force for good on the server, I guess, as dumb as that sounds. Just pulling bad dudes and maybe in the future combating any other major threats that might pop up.
Do you see any future, like, giant world wars or raider threats on the horizon?
I mean, there might be stuff that happens in the future. You know, fractures happen on Civ servers. Relationships change. The dynamic of the community changes, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
All right, let's get a little bit more personal here. If there is one person to call out for their shit on Devoted, now is your time. Who would you think of?
Greggy. I would like to call out Greggy to stop posting on the subreddit. Thanks. Greggy, please stop.
All right, that's a pretty good example. So, just a few more questions. What is some advice you would give to a new friend that's just starting off, besides like the basic stuff of go finding a group and make friends?
I'd say if you join a town, get in their Discord and really ingrain yourself in the community. Talk to a lot of different people, even from different towns, because you get to make those different connections. You can help some people out, because if you help people out when you need them, they'll be there to help you out as well.
Would you say the general outlook on Devoted is generally pleasant people, or would you say most people are just a bunch of raiders that are just waiting to fuck somebody over in the end?
I don't think I'd say if everyone was a bunch of raiders, then I think we'd be a lot worse off. I mean, there's definitely that portion of the community that is only interested in raiding, but a lot of that's pulled. But no, I'd say most of the community isn't interested in that, and you can see that because if most of the community was interested in that, we wouldn't have the same atmosphere in the server of all these towns. It'd basically just be a faction server.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, last question before we end off. Have you ever raided anyone within Devoted 3.0 yet?
Yeah. So, funny story. In when I first came over from Civcraft 3.0, I spawned in Persia and I started running around the town, and I was with one of my friends, and we kept fighting and punching each other. And the Persian guys got really angry at us, and because we were triggering snitches, so they called us underage autists or something like that, and kept telling us to fuck off, and we stuck around, and they were being really rude. It was Xerxes that was mainly being rude. So a couple of weeks later, I come with my friend Goblin, and we raid the ever-living fuck out of their town and grief it.
All right, well, thank you once again for being on the show, Dollaz. It was great to have you in the Wormhole.
Yep, it was great to be in the Wormhole.
All right. Now, before I go, I do want to give one last message to all of you viewing, and also to you, Dollaz. Just came back to Devoted like a week ago. Before that, I played Civcraft 3.0, and then it kind of ended, and I took a break from Civ servers. I just wanted to say, pretty much for the past week, everyone's been very supportive, including you. I know I've fucked up a lot of times in the past week, so thank you for being forgiving for that. And also to you, audience, I just started Box News like a week ago and already have a lot of support for it, a lot of good compliments and things. And I hope I can only improve on it in the future. So thank you for watching The Wormhole. And I just want to say I love you. I love you more. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This episode of The Wormhole has been brought to you by Box News. Shit and Unbalanced.